guys, Christina here. Today I want to talk about a point that I mentioned in an earlier vlog in relation to Andrew Yang and the Freedom Dividend. So the point that I want to talk about today and that I mentioned earlier was this survival of the fittest mindset. From my perspective, the reason why we don't currently give to each other unconditionally in the form of a universal basic income or a freedom dividend is because we're all stuck in this survivalist mindset where it's all about the survival of the fittest. It's all about the strongest being the best and winning and beating out the competition. So I can see that in the grand scale or in the bigger picture of our world system. It exists as our money system. Our money system is a manifestation of survival of the fittest. It's basically us as animals in the jungle that is capitalism, duking it out to see who's the strongest and who's going to come out on top. Because if you don't have the money, if you're not the strongest, you die, which is actually what happens in our current world system. The point that I want to make here is that yes, it exists out there in the bigger picture, and that's the problem, but we can actually source it back within ourselves. I have had a couple of experiences now where I've seen within myself the manifestation of survival of the fittest, where I'm actually participating and existing within and as that nature, that human nature of survival of the fittest. Now, I'm not saying that that's a natural nature of human beings. I do believe it is something that is teachable and it's unteachable, meaning I think that we can stop living that way. We don't have to live in this survivalist mindset. We don't have to live in a state of mind where we believe that scarcity is a real thing. There's not enough to go around. We have to compete and fight each other and ultimately let others die in order for us to survive. I believe that we can evolve beyond that, and that's kind of where we're at. From my perspective, at this stage of life and this stage of human history, we're at a pretty important moment where the United States, one of the biggest stages of the world most people are looking at, has a candidate running to become the presidential Democratic nominee for the president of 2020, and he's running on the platform of a universal basic income, of a freedom dividend, of unconditionally giving to its citizens. To me, that's very important. I haven't seen that in my lifetime, but it has been around throughout history of the U.S. So it's an important point where we are right now. And so the point I want to make here, though, is that yes, this survival of the fittest exists out in the world, but it also exists within me. And it can only exist out in the world because it exists within me and every other person that it does. Because collectively, we as human beings make up the body of humanity. We are the body, we are the collective organism that is humanity. And so what exists on the bigger picture is what each individual is accepting and allowing within themselves, which is amazing actually, because it implies the empowerment one has to change themselves and the effect that that can have on the whole. So I'll tell you a couple of experiences that I've had with it where I could see in one moment another person was talking about some of the struggles that they were going through, and within me there was actual like excitement or like happiness in relation to this other person having a difficult time. And I was kind of taken aback by that, because that's not normal human, I wouldn't say that's a normal human reaction to respond to someone in a way where you're happy that they're not doing well. But what I could see pretty clearly after doing some self-reflective writing and kind of just looking within myself at where that came from, it was the survival of the fittest mindset. It's this point of, if they're not doing well, that implies I have a better chance. I can win, I can get ahead, I can be the winner, I can be stronger, because this person is falling behind or this person is struggling. That implies that I could be the winner. And so it was this point of, good, someone else needs to fall in order for me to win, because what is competition? What do we learn in school? There can only be one winner, one person that gets the gold star. There's first place, which is what everyone strives for. I mean, this is stuff that we're taught to at school age level. Like we tell our 4, 5, and 6-year-olds that to be number one in a competition is to be the best, and that's what you need to strive for. I mean, we teach our children this, and this is the product of that teaching. I look at another human being and think, good, I'm glad that you're falling behind, because that implies I could win. Survival of the fittest. How could you want another human being to fail unless that implies your failure, their failure, is somehow your success, or somehow someone else's success? It's just this point of where we think that there can only be one winner, and only one person can be the best, and only one person can have all the glory, when the fact is we have to we have to completely eradicate that belief so that we can insert the new paradigm, which is all are equal, all are equally valuable, all equally deserve life, and all should be granted life, because we are born innocent in this world. Every baby is innocent, and you cannot stand before any newborn baby and tell me that they are less deserving of life than another baby. Just try that. Imagine saying to a newborn child that you're not worthy of life. You're somehow less deserving, and you are not the best thing to happen in this world, and you don't deserve the right to life. It's an interesting point to reflect on, that I realize that what I see in the bigger picture of this world, it exists within me. I exist as that nature, because the only way it can exist in the greater picture that is humanity is if it exists within each individual. I mean, we are what makes up the collective, and majority of us are influencing what is happening in this world by what we accept and allow within ourselves. And so the survival of the mindset that I see, survival of the fittest mindset, the survivalist mind that I see in the world, and that is our money system, that nature exists within me, and so that is my responsibility to no longer accept and allow. And that's where I have tools of self-forgiveness and self-responsibility and self-honesty to see that that actually exists within me. And I, as an individual, have a responsibility to remove that from myself, so that, you know, how can I say this shouldn't exist in the world if it exists within me? This is just another example where we have that responsibility and direct ability to influence the world, where what we accept and allow within exists without. What this world is who we are. So what do you see in the world? Are you satisfied? Use the world in a constructive way where you investigate and study it, and what you don't like, turn it inward. Bring it back to yourself. Does it exist within you? Be self-honest about it. It is the hardest thing, because no one wants to admit that they're a bad person, but it doesn't make you a bad person. You're a product of this world. You are of this world. That doesn't mean you can't stop and stand up and create a new world first within to influence the without. Investigate destiny as a point of support for changing the inner reality that is the human, that will directly influence the reality of life for all on earth. And investigate Andrew Yang and the freedom dividend and universal basic income as an economic bridge to start supporting each other equally with the right we have to life. Thanks for watching. See you next time.